I just saw some fascinating quotes from Brock Purdy to Albert Breer. Thank you to Coach Yak. I'm going to read these. This is interesting. Brock Purdy about trying to do too much last season. Quote, I would say I was frustrated about losing the Super Bowl, and it was like, all right, we got to get back. That's all I saw was getting back. And because some of those guys are out, I have to go make plays to get us back. And for me, I was losing sight of, bro, keep every play as simple as possible and don't complicate it. And you will get back if you do your job the right way every single drive for 4 quarters and you win the game. At times, I lost sight of that. I was trying to do too much, end quote. Now, there's more. We'll get to the more. But since that was long, what do you make of that first part, Vish?
I think we saw that, right? I think what's missed in Brock Purdy's season last year is September was probably the best version of Brock Purdy we had ever seen. Like
Yep.
Brock Purdy was carrying this offense. Brock Purdy was making plays. Brock Purdy was throwing the ball down the field. Brock Purdy was making big time throw after big time throw, and he was lighting it up. And it felt like, oh, has Brock Purdy taken another step? And then after that, it felt like he was trying to be the player he was in September, and the game wasn't materializing for him to be the player he was in September. And I think that's what these comments are saying. He realized, like, there are moments when Brock Purdy showed in September, there are moments where he can be the guy that carries the offense. But he doesn't have to try and default to be that guy all the time because the offense has the opportunity to carry him at certain points. And if he's able to balance both of those, because there will be moments. Sean Payton, the year he was out of football in the herd, used to always say this about your quarterback, right? There's going to be 5 times in the game where Superman has to put on the cape. Like if you play an NFL game, you need your quarterback 5 times in that game on 3rd and 8 on the road, make the throw. Stand in there, make the throw. 3rd and 7, stand in there, make the throw. What you want to do as a coach, as a defense, is make it only those 5 times that he has to put on the cape. Even if you have Drew Brees, you don't want him to put on the cape 20 times in the game because that's not fair to anybody. Maybe Mahomes can do that, but that's just Mahomes. And the 49ers do an amazing job of that. And Brock Purdy has proven he can put on the cape for 5 times. And this quote to me means that that's what he's looking to do. And he's trying to be mentally cognizant of being that player consistently with that headspace through the season.
I agree with you. I also put a little bit of blame on Kyle Shanahan. Like, Kyle, you have to drill into the team, especially your quarterback, the leader of the team, the leader of your offense, that it's not about getting back to the Super Bowl, that it's about one game. It's about this practice. It's about this game. It's about this week. The mindset that they have this year. Now, Kyle even admitted that all he could think about last year was getting back to the Super Bowl. That was the wrong mindset for this team. Bill Belichick always says, you're not defending a Super Bowl title. It's a new season. You're trying to win the next one. And the only way to do that is to focus on it one game at a time. And they clearly had the wrong mindset last season. Now, let's read the rest of the quote. We're going to read this together because I haven't read this yet. Quote, this was literally our second day back in the spring of 2025, and multiple times I watched film with Mick Lombardi. I watched it with Clay Kubiak. Kyle and I talked about it, which was really good, because then going into OTAs, I was like, bro, let's get back to the fundamentals and just hammer away at it. And when I left for the summer, I did the same thing. Come back in camp, still working on it. It was good stuff. I felt this pressure on myself that I need to be Superman type guy and go out and make plays off schedule. There were some moments when I was like, dude, you've got to go back to the basics. It doesn't matter who's out there. The way Kyle calls plays, you run it right, just like your rookie year, and it works. Stick to that and be consistent. Don't go searching because Christian is out of this game and you think you have to go and replace him. Really honest stuff from Brock Purdy. I love it.
Too honest almost, but yeah.
I mean, the third paragraph is exactly what you said after the first paragraph. It was literally, we both used the word super.
I know.
Did you read it?
I didn't read the quote. I was hoping you would give me that credit, though. My ego was coming off the screen a little bit like, ooh, I did say that, Brock. Me and you said the same thing. Woo-hoo.
Let's read more of this because it continues with Brock Purdy. Quote, I feel like there's this, they're in a rebuild. And so for me, what excites me is I want to go show everybody we have what it takes to win right now. It doesn't matter. We're going to go build and come together over time and then go put a season together, man, and make a run. And I think we have the team to go and win it all. And I'll say it, but that's what excites me. Now, so I feel like that paragraph kind of contradicts the earlier thing, right? Are you going to just buckle down, get back to your fundamentals and do what you're told? Or are you going to go out and try and show people that you can still win the Super Bowl and that you do have a team? Like, which is it, Brock?
No, I don't think that's what he's saying. I think that he believes that he thinks that there's 53 guys capable of doing their job the same way he's going to do his job for them to come together and win. And I think that's what he's saying. He believes in, Russell Gage, that he's going to be in the right spot when Shanahan calls a choice route for him instead of Juwan Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if Russell Gage doesn't work out, someone's going to. I've given that guy so many. Like, I like Russell Gage. So, um, it's that sort of thing that I think he's expressing. And I love the excitement, Brock. I mentioned I disagreed with you earlier in this show, but it's kind of cool to hear him talk like that because he's being really real in the two quotes above. So it feels like it's coming from a very authentic, genuine place. Like, I love what's going on around me. Like, I really do believe in it. And NFL players will believe. That's like the cool thing about them as athletes. Like, they believe in the impossible. You just have to give them a chance to believe. And so maybe this team has a mental and a mental avenue to them that we haven't really analyzed based on the mental strength of their quarterback and their other stars who may really believe and build a culture to be able to get these young guys to play good really fast.
I was just listening to an interview with Nick Mangold, who used to play center for the New York Jets back in the day. And
The Sanchez is center.
Yeah, then Brandon Tierney was the host on WFAN, and he said, like, what is it like for a team like the Jets, who, they don't exactly have Super Bowl aspirations at this time of year? And Mangold said, every year of my career, I thought we were winning the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. Like, I believed we could win a Super Bowl. And that you're right. Like, the NFL players do believe it. You have to. You can't win a Super Bowl if you don't believe that. And clearly Brock has it, and clearly the 49ers have it. Apparently, I'm just reading the last part of this quote. Christian McCaffrey went up to Brock Purdy and said, dude, we all only have a window of time in our career, whether it's 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years of your career. Don't finish your 10-year career and have all these regrets, man. Let's go all out for this window we have in our life to play football for the Niners and go win a championship. And you know where I think part of that comment from Christian McCaffrey comes from? Because he just became a dad, and Brock Purdy just became a dad. And when you become a dad, it changes your perspective on everything. Suddenly you have this perspective of, oh, I am in a window in my life, right? And Christian McCaffrey knows, like, his child is going to grow up, and that's your priorities change and a whole bunch of things. Everything changes when you have kids. And I think that is maybe part of it, at least, is a realization by Christian McCaffrey of where you are in your life and in your career. And that just happened also to Brock Purdy. And I think there's some urgency there. You realize that you don't have an infinite amount of time. You're on borrowed time, especially in the NFL. So I think that's partly where some of that might come from.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I'm still
Right. So
I haven't had a kid yet, but I do hear where you're coming from on that. And it's probably definitely on both of their minds.
That's why I brought it up, because you can't disagree with me. So I'm automatically right.
You would have been automatically right regardless, Rob. You make too many good points. You.
I can't do this with Levin. He could challenge me on that. But when Bish is here, I could just say whatever I want about becoming when you become a dad, you get superpowers. Yeah, sure. What the hell do you know? You don't have any kids.
You can maybe Purdy can put on the cape 20 times a game now.
It's really interesting stuff from Brock Purdy. That's encouraging stuff. I think we'll see how he actually plays, though, right? I do think that there are times throughout Brock's career, and maybe this is just the fact that he's a young quarterback, he gets influenced by outside stuff. Remember the Christmas Eve game against the Ravens, or Christmas Day, whatever it was, where they are carving up the Ravens defense on that first drive, and Brock just forces a ball in the end zone and it gets intercepted. And after the game, he said, well, we were feeling the crowd. We were feeling the emotion. I really thought we needed to make a big play. I really wanted to make a big play, and I forced it in there. Like, that is a young quarterback's mistake, I feel like. And I feel like he still gets kind of caught up in some of that outside stuff. Like he talked about the expectations last year. Maybe this is part of his maturation process.
So I actually have a slightly different take in that. I think that's kind of like the best parts of who he is, but also kind of the worst of it. And we saw it manifest last year at the end of the games. He's really passionate. Like he really cares. That's where all this inject in your veins and all this comes from. Like he's on that field seeing red. Like he's passionate. He wants to freaking win. And I think that manifests itself sometimes in the best ways where it pumps up his teammates and it leads to these plays that look like maybe a guy of his stature, his physical attributes shouldn't make that play. And he makes it just because he's competing his butt off in that moment. But it also at the end of games manifests in we're down and I force something as a fourth quarter interception because I'm feeling the passion. I really want to make a play and we're down. And that's kind of how I play. And so I saw a lot of that at Iowa State from him. Like that's kind of who he is. And I feel like that's a part of who he is as a quarterback. And like for example, Brady, right? You want to take the ultimate example of this. Brady, I feel like was emotional while being totally detached from the emotion of the game. So he was like so competitive, but he played quarterback the same way every single play. And it was like the most unique thing of consistency. Every play Brady would play that snap the same way to play quarterback. And that was his unique trait. I don't know that it takes away from Brock Purdy because I don't know that this is a bad thing because, like I mentioned, there's a lot of good that comes from this passion, but I think that's who he is. But I also had a second point to this, and if you want to go first, stop.
Well, I just want to interject because I agree
Yeah,
with what you're saying about Brock's passion, and it goes back to what you were saying about putting on the Superman cape. He thinks he has a Superman cape to put on, which I like because in those moments you need a guy with the moxie
yeah,
to try. Like not every
totally.
quarterback has that. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have that in him. Alex Smith didn't have that in him. And I don't mean that to knock those guys. I'm just saying it's a mindset. And Brock has it, and I love it.
Take the backup, right? Like I think Mac Jones had a good preseason, but to me, Mac Jones showed he's a backup quarterback in the NFL because there's a little bit of fearfulness to Mac Jones. There's just a little bit of hesitation before cutting it loose, and it has nothing to do with Mac Jones, his technical of how he plays quarterback, other than he might slightly lack athleticism, though he's fairly pocket mobile. Like he does move pretty nimbly in the pocket. But the difference between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, it's why one guy looks clearly like the starter and one guy looks clearly like the backup, is Brock Purdy plays with the fearlessness. He plays with the moxie. He plays with an aggression. I can go get this. Whereas Mac Jones plays with us. He's scared. He looks tentative when he's playing relative to Brock Purdy. And you can see, I feel like it's been very clear this offseason. One guy's a starter, one guy's a backup. And physically, I don't know that there's that much difference in how they throw it. And Mac Jones is pretty accurate, those sorts of things. But to me, the second point of this, Rob, is I love this quote from him because I feel like this whole quote, this whole mindset is why he works with Shanahan. The fact that he's able to take that away from the season and then his season mindset, so he's able to internalize and mentally process all the ways he needs to improve. But then he's able to be simple enough where he's looking at this season with Jimmy Garoppolo, we can do this, that sort of positivity. I think that mental complexity and balance is what it takes to be the quarterback for Shanahan. And I think it's almost a volatile personality combination where like rarely anyone has it because you have to have the overthink and the self-criticalness and all of these things to look at every flaw, be able to look deep within yourself, say you made these mistakes, all of these things, but then also set it all aside and be like, I'm going to be, dumb football player ready for the next play. Like, I'm just there. I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to overthink anything. And Garoppolo had the latter. They drafted Trey Lance because they felt like he was this overanalyzer, but he was a total overthinker. It showed on the field. It felt like the criticism got to him, all of these things. And it feels like Purdy balances both, where he overthinks enough to improve, but also on the field, he just goes and plays off of instinct. He's not thinking on the field. And I think it's a very unique confidence. It's a very unique personality to have. And I think it's the only one that can work with the way Kyle Shanahan seems to handle his quarterback.
And I think that the best quarterback coach combinations are ones where the personalities happen to mesh. We saw it with the Patriots and Tom Brady. Bill Belichick was I'm going to call out my star quarterback coach every time coach. And Brady thrived on that for years. It fueled Brady. It didn't make him, go into a shell or anything. It made him better. Now, Eventually, he got sick of it, I do think, but that was after many years and many, many championships. And that's
You
totally
think you
yeah. I think
think he got sick of it? I've been listening to a lot of the interviews from him. I
don't
think
listen
he
to
more is.
interviews now.
I feel like he more comes across like he's salty that they let him go than he's sick of it. Like I feel like he's more pissed that Belichick wanted to do it with someone else. Like I feel like he wanted to stay with New England, and their conflict essentially created all this. Because I feel like when he talks about Tampa Bay, it comes across like he's a lot more. He's like, damn, Belichick was detailed. Like, damn, he ran practice. Like, I had to make these guys be so on their P's and Q's. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I need to do this for you. Belichick took care of all that.
Well, he probably did learn, but no, don't listen to him
You don't
now.
think so?
There's a lot of him. He's definitely turned into a little bit of like one of the old heads football people. Like he wanted stuff his way. He wanted Alex Guerrero to be able to get in there in New
Yeah,
England.
that's true.
He wanted all that. It was just time for it to end. I didn't mean to get into a whole thing, but my point was their personalities meshed and worked in a good way. And I do think you need a certain type of quarterback personality to be able to sustain working with Kyle Shanahan for year after year. It seems like Brock has it. It's funny. He says I was trying to do too much. Like he's I wonder if he's like prettying it up, because part of me thinks they just got in those film sessions and Kyle looked at Brock and was like, dude, just throw it to the bleeping curl or just hit the hitch route or throw it to the slam. What are you doing throwing it down the field,
Yeah, and I agree because I feel like Shanahan's personality is like, oh, I might just randomly turn on you and cuss you out in this moment because you deserve to be cussed out. But then 2 minutes later, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, what's up, dude? Like,
Yep.
how's it going?" As if that never happened. I expect you to immediately turn that off, not even remember that I cussed you off, and be like, "Yeah, Kyle, what's up, dude? How's it going, man? You gonna invite me to Cabo this year? Nah, bro, you don't golf good enough." So I feel like that balance, like mentally as human beings now, NFL players are unique, right? In the sense that they deal with far more criticism, highs, lows. Like they have to deal with their emotions in a much different way from the average human being. But I think for any human being, it can be very hard to, oh, this guy just went totally at me for doing my job. And now 2 seconds later, he's like, yo, he's joking with me. And I gotta be like, ha ha ha, that's all cool. It's really hard to strike
Mhm.
that balance. And then when you add the egos of it, where Brock is, a $200 million guaranteed quarterback, Kyle's at the top of his profession and his coach, all these things, they have all these conflicting things. It's a very unique personality, like you said. And I think based on what we've seen off of Kyle, this is the only one that works. I think there's other quarterback personalities, Rob, and there's a lot of other star quarterbacks with other quarterback personalities. I don't think those other quarterback personalities work. Like, I don't think you can do that with Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan is not going to address you after, like, dude, you just cussed me out. Now you're going to say we're going to be, yo, dude. And that's why they had to address how they talk to each other in their relationship. I think with Brock, Kyle just gets to be Kyle, and Brock's personality is able to adjust and digest and be able to handle both parts of it. Like we can be cool in all of it, but I'm also still going to take your hard coaching to heart, but not let it devastate me because he can devastate a quarterback.
He definitely can. I remember asking Trey Lance about that. Like, I think I said, like, have you tasted the wrath of Kyle Shanahan? And he kind of laughed and was like, no, not really. But you kind of felt a little bit like, yeah, maybe he has a little, because he laughed like, yeah, I like, because he saw the truth in what I said. I felt like, and maybe that's just me, putting my whole interpretation on the thing. But yeah, he's not easy to work with, and I imagine he's not easy to play for too. But he's also really good at what he does, so he gets that sort of grace. Let's say we'll see how.
Yeah, it's the rare thing, right? Like he's the rare guy that's gotten to go through life being that crazy control freak and not having to fix it because he's good at that thing. So, people who are good at that thing sometimes are also those crazy control freaks. I'm sure we all work with somebody in some capacity who's excellent at something, but we have to wade around their personalities. But that's okay. They get to be that way personally because they're so excellent at that thing.
You ever watch that show House that was on back in the day?
No, Rob.
It was an old show with Hugh
I
Laurie.
do remember that. I know. I remember the ads for it. There used to be commercials between football games for it all the time.
every episode, it was like, somebody's sick or they have this crazy disease and no one in the world can solve it. And House is like, I'll do it. Let me just stick a straw in their neck and pump them full of, poison, and that'll cure them. And everyone's like, you can't do that. That's crazy. And then he does it anyway. And all of a sudden the person's walking by the end of the episode. It was every week, but it was a very enjoyable show. But that's kind of Kyle Shanahan. It was like, all right, we'll let you operate on this patient in this crazy way because you end up saving lives. But if you ever stop saving lives and these patients keep dying, you're going to be out of here pretty quick.
Oh, totally. Like, I think Shanahan's exit, whenever it would come from the 49ers, unless it's him exiting on his own terms, like, there will be some dirt. Oh, Shanahan was a total annoying personal worker. Oh, Shanahan, he was a total control freak. He did that. Like, Jed's going to do that on the way out for sure, despite the fact that, this is the longest tenured coach he's ever had. This is all these, like, positive things. If Shanahan doesn't walk out on his own terms, we will hear, we can't handle it anymore. He was pushy. He did this. He made me win.
He made me spend money. I didn't like that at all. Oh, boy. Well, hopefully we're not talking about the end of Kyle Shanahan's tenure soon, because hopefully that means things are going well for the 49ers. And we will see if they do this year.